China has undeclared sanctions on Israel, and this has been evident ever since the 7th of October attacks on Israel that were followed by the Israeli genocide in Gaza. To start off with, China has a trade level with Israel that is very close to the United States. The United States trade with Israel is approximately $22 billion a year, whereas the Chinese trade with Israel is around 17.6 billion a year, $17.6 billion. China has very strategic assets in Israel. They control the port of Haifa, they control infrastructure and carry out massive infrastructure projects in Israel, including railways and tunnels, and they also have ownership on strategic, essential companies in Israel, including things like milk and other companies as well. Israel started to worry in December when one of the biggest shipping companies from China, COSCO, stopped sending ships to Israel. Now, although the Chinese ships were not targeted by Ansarullah in Yemen, China decided to take this action. They could have avoided having that and continue to supply to Israel because they did not receive repercussions from Ansarullah because they have a good relationship with them, obviously tied with the relationship with Iran. However, they decided to stop sending that to Israel. Israel's also worried about exports when it comes to chips and certain products. Also, in Israel, the level of trade when it comes to vehicles from China is very great. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu had a policy to increase his relationship and his trade with China and Russia at the expense of the United States, thinking that he could shift his dependence from the United States. But what he did not understand is that these countries' positions will not change only due to trade with Israel, because they have obviously other trade and they are growing superpowers. Now, obviously, the Chinese haven't declared sanctions and they are looking for a political solution. They constantly called for an immediate ceasefire since the beginning, although many in Israel view them as having a pro-Palestinian stance. They have a Palestinian embassy, the highest status of representation when it comes to Palestine in China that's been there for a while, and they constantly call for a ceasefire and for historical Palestinian rights. Now, with these undeclared sanctions going on Israel, and seeing as there's growing sanctions movements on Israel, including from countries that have had very good relationship with Israel from a very long time ago, the question is, how long can Israel last with more and more countries imposing sanctions on Israel, or simply making it more difficult to deal with them on a day-to-day basis?